Okay, so the idea today is to solve two-step equations. The purpose today is to solve two-step equations. So, if you're doing the getting to know you, what is your least favorite chore? Did I spell that right? Chore? To do at home and why? Okay. Math talks. How many cheese balls fit on the large plate? So, it's a good one. You can use that one as a reference point and try to figure out how many. See if you can get it. So, you can pause, you can count, you can do whatever you want, and then go on to the next slide and see that it's 156. Quite a lot, right? All right, so I want you to do this problem. I'm thinking of a number. I multiply by 4. I add 6. I divide it by 2. I subtract 5. And I end up with 18. So, excuse me, what did I start with? So what would you do to find that number? So, if I end up with 18, I'm going to go backwards here, right? I'm going to start my way back and go backwards. So the first thing, instead of subtract 5, I would add 5. I would get 23. And then instead of divide by 2, I would times 2, right? Because I'm going backwards. I'm going to do the opposite of what was done. So that gives me 46. And then I add 6. Instead of adding 6, I'm going to subtract 6. So that's going to give me 40. And then it says I multiply by 4, which means I'm going to divide by 4. And 40 divided by 4 is 10. So the number I was thinking of is 10. So again, we're using inverse operations, right, to undo what we originally had done to get back to our original number. So that's what we've been doing to solve one-step equation, and that's what we're going to do today as well. So here's a story, right? So I mean, I'd like you to continue to do this. Here's my variable y. What's the first thing that's happening to it? The first thing that's happening to it, it's the first thing that's happening to it. It's this. It's that multiplication. So I have a variable y which is currently being multiplied by 3, and then it's being added to 5, and 5 is being added to it, right? And that gives me 17. So, like we did the previous problem here, I'm going to undo what was done to get to my original number, to find out my original number. So instead of add 5, I'm going to subtract 5, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So these are the inverse operations that I'm going to use to find the value of y. So again, get into the habit of understanding that an equation has a left side and a right side, right? There's a balance here. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 5. If I subtract 5 from one side, I will subtract 5 from the other side. Well, 17 minus 5 is 12. These two will eliminate each other because plus 5 and minus 5 is 0. And I'm going to bring that 3y down. So that's step 1. Step 2 is this. I have to divide both sides by 3. So again, I'm going to divide this side by 3. Let me change colors here. So divide by 3. And I divide this side by 3, and again, you must show me that you're dividing both sides by 3. The equal sign comes down. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3 divided by 3 is 1, or 1 times y is just y. And then I have my variable all isolated, all by itself, and I get that y is 4. So check. So 3 times y plus 5 equals 17. I'm going to replace that y here. So I'm going to go 3... 3 times, instead of the y, I'm going to put a 4 plus 5 equals 17. So on the right side, there's nothing to do because there's just 17. But on the left side, I have some order of operations to take care of. So multiplication comes first. 3 times 4 is 12, and then plus 5. And then again, one more step. 12 plus 5 is 17, which equals 17 on the other side. There is my final answer. Okay, so we'll do a couple of these. So again, I want you to take this, I want you to practice just creating that story. I want you to solve anything, so I just want you to look at the equation and see what's happening. So like in the first one, here's my equation, and what's happening, what's my variable? My variable is x, which is currently being multiplied by 16, and what's happening to it after? It's 12 is being added to it, and 44 is my answer. So to undo everything that was done, I'm going to first thing is subtract by 12, and then I'm going to divide by 16. Not too concerned with the answer right now. I just want you to get used to understanding what the inverse operations, that you're going to do to undo what was done. So here, start with this one. My variable is x. It's being multiplied by 22, and then subtract 6, and that gives me 5. So going backwards, we're going to do plus 6, and we're going to divide by 22. And those are the two steps we're going to do. So let's do a couple more here. I think it's a couple more. 3. My variable is still x. What's happening to it? Well, don't forget, it's multiplied by half. And then add 9, and that equals 23. Going backwards, we're going to do the inverse operation. So the first thing we're going to do is minus 9, and then we're going to divide by a half, which is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. All right, and that's going to change to that. Variable is still x, multiplied by 7, subtract 9, and it's giving me 40. So we're going to do plus 9, and then divide by 7. And the last one, we have a 5x. So it's x is my variable, it's being multiplied by 5, and then this guy over here, subtract 3, gives you 18. To undo that, we're going to add 3, and then to undo the times 5, we're going to divide by 5. And those are the inverse operations. So let's see how that, let's do a whole complete problem here. So we did that, we did those. So here we go. First thing I want you to do is this. What's my variable? My variable is k. What's happening to it? It's being multiplied by negative 5. And then it's being what? Subtracted 12. And that's giving you, that's giving us 13. All right. So we're going to take that. We're going to use, let's find out what operations we are going to do to undo what was done. We're going to add 12. And we're going to divide by negative 5. Okay. So negative 12 minus 5k equals 13. Draw the line in the middle. This is my left side and my right side. The first thing I want to do is this guy right here. So add 12. So I'm going to put it right under the 12 on this side and under this 13 on this side. So plus 12. 13 plus 12 on this side is 25. That was easy. Minus 12 and plus 12. This goes out. And be careful here. You have to bring minus 5k down. I'm going to divide by negative 5. So this is what this says right here. Divide by negative 5. So again, my line in the middle. My division, I'm going to use a fraction, right? So that's divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. These two go out. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, and 1 times k is just k. And 25 divided by negative 5, it's a positive divided by negative, and it should be negative 5. Good. Let's do our check. Copy the original equation. So I'm going to go negative 12 minus 5, and instead of that k there, I'm going to replace it with negative 5 equals 13. Let's see if that's true. Do order of operations. There's nothing to do on the right side. So first thing I want to do is multiply these two. So it's negative 12, and that's going to be a negative 5 times a negative 5 is going to be positive 25, right? And then these two, negative 12 plus 25 is going to be 13, which is going to equal 13 on the other side. So, here we go. Again, let's do another one. Cross that out. So the first thing, again, what's my variable? My variable is an m, which is being multiplied by who? By negative 3. And then it's added, 8 is added to it, and it's resulting in 32. So that's the story that this equation tells me. So those are the steps that happen, and to undo whatever happened, I'm going to subtract 8, and then so I forgot to put decimal, not decimal, multiplication. So I'm going to divide by -3. So those are the 2 steps I'm going to use to solve this equation, and therefore that is why it's called a 2-step equation. So let me copy the original equation. First thing I want to do, draw my line. Now I'm going to look at my guide here. It says subtract 8 from both sides. So 32 minus 8 is 24. Plus 8 minus 8 will go away. Minus 3m will come down. The second thing I'm going to do is divide by -3. So again, we draw another line. So divide by -3. Divide by -3. -3 divided by -3 is a positive, right? So that gives me 1m, or just m. Positive divided by negative is a negative, and 24 divided by 3 is -8. Check. -3m plus 8 equals 32. Right? So on the right side, there's not much to do, so I'm just going to write it again a couple of times. And -3 times -8, right? Because that's the value of m, plus 8. So order of operations, we have to do these two. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 8. And 24 plus 8. Oops, I'm repeating. And then 24 plus 8 is 32, which equals to 32. I'll do one more here. 2 more. Yeah, no, one more. Again, so this one's a little different. Just a little bit. What's my variable? W. What's happening to it? Well, I can see right here. It's being divided by -6. And then subtract -5. And it's giving me -18. So that's what's happening to it. So to undo all those things, we're going to go backwards, and we're going to add 5 first, and then we're going to times 6. So those are the 2 steps we're going to do. So let's see how that works out. Step 1. Oops, not that. What we're going to do, what am I doing? Here's the line in the middle. First thing I'm going to do, it says here, add 5 to both sides. So let me do plus 5 here, plus 5 here. Minus 5 and plus 5 go away. W over 6 comes down. And -18 plus 5 is -13. Over here, it says, so I did this. The second step will be to times 6 to both sides. So let me show you. Multiply by 6 here. That's how I'm going to represent it. I'm going to multiply by 6 on this side. On this side, this and this simplifies to 1. And then 1 times w is just w, so we put w. And 6 times -13 is 18 goes 1, -78. So that's my answer. W equals -78. Just make sure it's correct. The original equation is -18 equals -5 plus w over 6. So instead of that w there, and I'm just going to replace. I'm going to erase. So watch what I do. I erase a w, and I'm going to put -78 on top. Now I got -18 equals -5 plus, let's do this division over here. And that division there is -13. Right? So and then I got -18 equals -5. Let me just write that a little better. Plus -13. -18 equals, and then we're adding two negatives. They're friends, right? So -5 plus -13 is -18. And that's how you do that. And that's it for this part.